Episode 2, Kirk and Dave, McEwen and Rather, and Mothers is coming to a halt. What are your emotions right now? I mean, this baby you've built is going to be turned into something else. It'll be so strange. Your kids will ride by and be like, see that building right there? Your grandpa built that up. That was the original Mother's. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
It's emotional for sure. It's hard. It's, just thinking back to the memories. I mean, it's 28 years. It's a long time. And, we're definitely, it's sad. It's hard to let it go. Definitely wasn't maybe our first choice. We just kind of felt like we had to do it at this stage for our mental health and moving forward. So it's been emotional.
You're on the other side of it now because you were laying in bed saying, God, Kelly, I'm going to sell Mothers. The what? What? So that was the big time. Yeah. Now you've
come to grips with it. We've come to grips with it, but now it's really hitting home.
Yeah.
As we're starting to take things off the wall and, friends are asking for mementos and staff is, flying in that we haven't seen in 20 years. And, so now it's really hitting home and it's becoming, a reality. And, we just had our best Ravens season ever and, they're killing it. So, it's maybe, a little regrets every now and then, but for the future and like I said, for our mental health, I think it's the best thing. And it's going to allow us to kind of regroup and move forward.
I got a couple of pint glasses out of there over the years. And so what is planned as we sit here January 15th? The last day is going to be Sunday, but you got a staff party coming up. That's the party. That's the party you want to go to is a staff party.
Staff knows how to party. I mean, we've had probably 3,000 people working there over the last 28 years, maybe more. Some of them have become like family, and that we're so close with still, even though they haven't worked there in 20 years.
Right.
And one of our original guys came in with his son this weekend, Brian Minatoli, great guy, met his wife there. Now they have, she was a server, Lisa, and now they have kids, and she's like a principal of a elementary school, and he's a captain in the fire department. Mm-hmm. Just great people that we're just, lucky to know and lucky that we were playing a small part to bring them together and create a family. And, that stuff's really cool. So the party, to get all these old staff members that, love Mothers as much as we do and really was a huge part of their life, that's what really hits home for us is how important Mothers was for the staff and the customers, and it became a home away from home. And so we're going to just do an open bar party for them and food and just let them get after it on Friday night. And then Saturday, we're going to, have some live music. The Dancing Bears, Grateful Dead tribute
They're
band.
so good.
They're
Saw
great.
them at Trifecta, and I was glued. I couldn't move.
Yeah.
They really brought it, and so they'll be there.
Yeah.
Are they the headliners? Or
they're the headliners, and then Naptown Brass Band, which is a second line, brass band.
That means horns, people.
That's all horns and drums, and they were taught by a good friend of mine, Kirk Joseph from New Orleans. He mentored them, and they play great New Orleans Mardi Gras music and brass band music, but they're from Annapolis, and they're a lot of fun, and they're going to kick it off too. So you have two of my favorites.
You heard it, Kirk Joseph, which is on the menu, and we'll get to that later on in the podcast. To be a name on the menu, it doesn't happen for everybody. But let's talk about this heart attack on a plate thing.
Yeah.
I don't remember it. Maybe I was in Tampa at the time. Maybe I wasn't paying attention and didn't order it because it looked too extravagant or too rich or crazy for me. But can you explain it? Because it's something that doesn't show up all the time, every now and then. But again, I've not seen it.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it off air earlier.
Well, we're talking about how, we get inspiration from different restaurants around the world.
Yes.
And mainly, New Orleans, because we go there so often and we love it. But one of our favorite restaurants, Giacomo's, uptown on Oak Street, has this great item called the Heart Attack on a Plate, and it was a fried roast beef po' boy. Very decadent, very filling, very good. And so we want to take a little bit of that inspiration, and we came up with a Heart Attack on a Plate, but it was a deep fried burger stuffed with cheddar cheese.
I'm a heart attack on a bed. I don't need a heart attack on a plate.
So it's beer battered, beer battered and fried, stuffed with cheddar cheese. I mean, it's very decadent and so good. I used to try it. I used to eat maybe half of a burger.
This thing won an award.
Yeah, well, it won on the in the Food Network, top 50 burgers in the country and #1 burger in Maryland.
That's crazy.
So that was really cool. And then the Today Show picked it up from New York, and they asked us to come up and make it live.
The Today
on
Show.
the air.
Who was the host? Was that Matt Lauer at the time?
Yeah, yes, Matt Lauer.
He's run into some troubles lately.
Yeah.
He knows a good burger when he sees one.
Yeah, and there was 2 other guys there, and they did a taste test with all the announcers and then all the crew, and it was a lot of fun. My brother, was doing the cooking, and it was just great exposure for us. So that was cool.
What about drive-ins, diners, and dives?
Yeah.
You're not any of those.
Yeah, I've never gotten any reach from them, and it's a great show and super cool.
That's a Jimmy's Famous
or
has been on there. Pit beef guy.
Yeah, Chaps.
Yes.
Yeah. And they also, another one of our favorite restaurants, Scythers in New Orleans. They were there. They did a whole episode there. That's a really cool spot.
Hey, let me ask you, I mean, there's so many great items on the menu at Mother's, but it's not like a diner where you're flipping pages and there's too many items. How do you decide that's enough, that's too much, we need to pull something? How does the menu evolve?
That's a really good question. We have a large menu, and probably, especially for the size of the kitchen in Federal Hill, it was too big for the size of our kitchen. But everything was eaten. It wasn't like there was items that nobody ever ordered. Maybe like the vegetarian item that you kind of had to have to keep them happy.
Am I going to go to Mother's and order a vegetarian?
I mean,
I don't think so.
Some
but
people
you know
do.
What? Yeah, you bring your sister or somebody who's got the vegan thing going.
Yeah, exactly. And so, we want to appeal to everybody. So that's why the menu's so big. And we cross-use a lot of items. So one menu item might get used 3 different times, that product. So we, don't have to bring in a new food item for every menu item. And then we just try to spread it out where we have enough chicken, we have, beef, we have salads, sandwiches.
God, I'd be terrible at that.
And, we've tried to cut it down over the years because it's about 80 items, which is a lot.
Yeah.
And most restaurants don't do that much. But everything really sells, and it's just, I think, part of our brand. And so we've stuck with it. Then we've got, specials on top of it. So it's a really large menu. We things that stay on are favorites, but also are easy to produce.
And we're going to get to those because it's almost like you're an all pro. If you're like somebody, if you're a menu item and you're still there all the time, I ain't a heart attack on a plate, bro. I don't just come and go.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm like the jambalaya or the chicken wings. Are you a flat or are you a drummy guy?
I like boneless, but I'm a drum guy. I'm a drum guy.
Like my kids. It's funny. Kids these days don't want to eat the bones because they know that there could be a dead animal on the other side of that.
Yeah.
And maybe you got a little something.
Yeah, I just like it's just easier, and you don't have as much mass. You can use a knife and all that. But I like the drumsticks, and, I love our blue cheese. As I said last time, our blue cheese is incredible, and that's what really makes wings for me.
That's mold, everybody, blue cheese.
It is.
People,
it is mold.
they're up on that now.
Yeah.
But, so this is going to be it's a crazy end. You had a card game the other night. Is that something that was a staple through the years?
Yeah, we would play poker, a little Texas Hold'em through the years, and we just got one last game together. That was cool. Sunday's going to be our last day. We're going to do a pajama brunch in the morning, and then the Ravens game in the evening. So we're going to end out with the Ravens playoff game. So that'll be fun.
You know what I think is pretty cool is that Bill Shue owns Primo Restaurant in Pasadena. He also owns Twain's Tavern, and he went to this other restaurant that opened up and put a review on Facebook, and somebody said, "Wow, you own these two bars or restaurants, and you're reviewing other places." And he said, "There's room for everybody." And you got like Scunny on your menu, who is a competitor. God rest his soul. But you know what I mean? I would love to get a picture of you and John Minadakis and Scunny, and you know what I mean? Just a picture of these guys, Ron Furman from Max's,
Bill Larney.
Together. You know what I mean? Like these guys that were really instrumental in propping these bars and giving Baltimore a flavor.
Yeah.
If that means anything.
No, it does. And, obviously we have respect for people that have worked in this industry, their whole life and devoted everything to it. And, it's not easy.
It isn't.
And it's 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. It just never stops. So it was sad to lose Scunny, and, we wanted to.
From Nacho Mamas.
From Nacho Mamas. And, they're closing. I think they just closed.
And they're keeping a couple of the satellite stores.
Mamas on the Half Show. Mamas
on
the Half Show are staying open. So, it was sad to lose him, and we just wanted to, remember him. And, that's what we do, on the menu.
That's a beautiful thing, Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, I bet his people reached out when you first did it. And it's like, that's pretty cool that you put Scunny on your menu, I think.
Yeah.
And they're a proud family.
Yeah.
And,
they've been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
Girl and I went to Towson. That's where I got up and sang, "When I get home last night, you wouldn't make love to me." Yeah. She was like, "Give it to me, baby." I put that on, you didn't see it on the Facebook?
I didn't see that, no.
Yeah. Listen, man, we've got a lot to talk about. We're just sitting down here at Stages. What a great place.
Awesome
And, thanks for letting me come along on
Thanks
the
for
journey,
doing
man.
it,
We
man.
got
It's an honor
Orioles
to
and
have
Ravens. Hey, man, an honor to have you have me. Orioles, Ravens, California wildfires, and more. We'll get into everything on this edition of the Mother's Podcast. I don't know where you come down on punk funk. I was just singing some Rick James a little while ago.
Love Rick James.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug. I mean,
Rick James, bitch.
Yeah, that was Charlie Murphy.
Charlie Murphy. That story is legendary. God.
Yeah.
He passed.
Charlie Murphy
passed.
and Rick James. Because cocaine is a hell of a drug. Did you ever, I know that your kids may be watching. I've done cocaine. I will never do cocaine again. I mean, not because I didn't enjoy it and love to see my heart running next to the car while I'm driving down the street, but because of the fentanyl. I mean, it made it so much scarier.
It's scary times out there.
Yeah, you know what you're getting.
I tell my kids, like, if you're going to experiment or you're going to try something, you got to test it for fentanyl. I mean, it's scary.
Is there? Can you go to Walmart and get a test?
And you can get testers.
So you can throw your blow on some table and try it out for fentanyl. Ah, man, it's so much less sexy when you have to do that at the party. But it's almost like dancing through the mines, I'm surprised I'm still here. The things that we did, growing up. But
when you're young, you can get away with more. You bounce back quicker. I've always loved cannabis. That's my thing, and I kind of look at it as medicine. So,
how old were you when you? Listen, what's so strange is cannabis, it's now medicinal, but it still has a stigma. Definitely. And people smell it and it's like, oh, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, something wrong.
Well, and I do the Ravens pregame show, and right around 20 minutes to kick off, there's a waft that comes through the tent that we're in, and it smells like somebody's doing something criminal. But it's not. But do you understand the juxtaposition?
It's a weird time. I mean, I can remember being in college, and if you had any deadhead stickers on your car. You were getting searched, and and there was the war on drugs, and just cannabis was super bad, and they were coming after it hard. And now it's socially acceptable, and everybody's doing it, from the older generation to 21-year-olds, college kids, and I think it's a good thing.
It's better than drinking.
It's better than drinking. It's better for me. It's a high-stress job running your own business, having 3 businesses. So I think it's allowed me to just deal with the stress easier and just, live a little more of a chill, relaxed life.
My buddy, comedian, I forget his name at the time, his first name Neil, but the police came to his car and he said, "Do you mind if we search your car for drugs?" He said, "Go ahead. I've been searching his car for drugs for years and I can't find anything. So have at it." Yeah. But music-wise, where does Little Feat play for you? I mean, they were sort of a Southern band, not really Southern rock, but Feats don't fail me now.
Love Little Feat. Love Little Feat. Saw them at Towson University back when I was in college.
With Lowell George?
No, that was
okay.
Post
I was 12 or 13 when he died.
Yeah.
I was on my way back from South Carolina. My mother would take us down there every year to hang with people that were Uncle Roger and Aunt whatever her name was, and they weren't really your uncle and aunt. You know what I mean? They were friends. Yeah. But we were driving back home, and it said somebody broke in and said Lowell George has died. I was 12,
and you remember that?
And it affected me because when my brother, who was a disc jockey, played Little Feat around the house. Cool. Dixie Chicken and all that.
Yeah, I love it. I love their live stuff. I love Lowell George. Love Little Feat. That's definitely in my wheelhouse.
Is the Grateful Dead your favorite band?
I would say probably my favorite band. Those in the Meters from New Orleans are probably my top 2.
How did you get onto the Meters? That seems like almost PhD music for a young guy. Or were you later in life? Did you find it?
I went to first they came to Max's.
Not the Funky Meters, the Meters.
Well, it was the original Meters, then they turned into the Funky Meters. But they played at Max's on Halloween night, back when I was doing live music.
You booked that?
I didn't book it. I went. Dave Geller booked it.
Oh, Dave Geller presents.
Exactly, Dunce Boy.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he lives.
Dave, I love you, Dave. Where are you, Dave? He's still alive, right?
He's in Miami.
God,
he's still alive.
Seen him in a long
yes,
time.
He is. Yep. And so he turned me on to him, and I was just floored. I was getting into the funk, and they're just like one of the best musicians ever. And I just fell in love with that music. And then going to New Orleans and Jazz Fest and just seeing the whole thing.
Did you walk up on him one day and like, "Hey, I'm Dave from Baltimore. I really love your stuff"?
Dave Geller introduced me to him, and they were looking for a driver down the East Coast to take him on like a little 2-week long tour. So I'd spent a little time with them, driving them when I was, just out of college, driving up and down the East Coast, and got to hang with Art Neville and George Porter and Russell Batiste and Brian Stoltz. And so, I got to be friends with them, and I would bring them to town and promote them. And George played my wedding, and I just fell in love with the music, fell in love with New Orleans culture and the vibe, and they're a huge part of it.
Do they feel you? They must feel you like you feel them, because you've really accepted their music and had the guy play your wedding. So you're family to them.
Yeah. And they treat everybody that's close to them like family. And I think that's just a New Orleans thing. They just have a lot of love.
Yeah.
And there's so many musicians down there, and they all play together in one big musical family. So there's less competition and less animosity. And they've treated me like family, and they know that I'm a huge fan. I travel around the whole country to see them, so they respect that.
Did we talk about the incident that happened in New Orleans with the?
We haven't talked about it, but we can.
How quickly things get pushed off the front page.
Yeah.
That was it. It made the football game go back a day.
Secondary.
But it not. It's Dave. We've become almost numb to all of these incidences where somebody does somebody wrong or takes a bunch of lives. Here's a guy that went around some barriers with a vehicle and killed a bunch of people in New Orleans, a town that is just having fun.
It's all about good times.
Yeah.
It really hit hard for the people in New Orleans because they take so much pride in entertaining and hospitality. So to kind of have people die on their watch, it hit hard, because I talked to a lot of people there, and the whole town was somber, and it's just sad. It's uncalled for, and obviously, like you said, it gets pushed to the back burner because then we move into the fires in California, and it's a crazy time right now. And
the fires will be on the back burner, no pun intended, but soon, because something else will come.
It's a weird time. It's a weird time in our country and in this world.
Yeah. Well, I love the fact that so many people really enjoy and appreciate what New Orleans means to the nation. That Cajun, you see that EAUX. It's a part of it. Makes of everything. It's just like, I don't want to get too far off base, but you look at California, and some people were excited that things were burning, and I'm like, that's one of the 50 states, man. Did you feel that way years and years ago?
It's changed, and there's politics, and everyone's got different political views. That's one thing, but we're all Americans. We're all humans. That's what should come first, and not what your political view is. And so, it's just sad when we're worried about how somebody votes or their political views when their house is burning down. And really, that should be the priority. And, we need to come together as Americans to support each other rather than going at each other's throats for every little thing out there.
When we were really united was after 9/11.
Yeah.
I remember driving away from the radio station, looking into other people's cars going, God, can you believe this is going on?
Yeah.
And standing in my neighbor's yard, who was from Southeast Asia, had everybody with a candle, and here, black, white, Asian, Pakistani, all of us standing around with candles. And then it subsided, and everybody's like, F you.
Yeah.
So we got to get back to that, but
we
hopefully
not with the tragedy, like you said. But that was one of the good things that came out of that tragedy, is that the uniting of America and realizing that people kind of were out to get us, and we need to stick together. And we need that again. Without the tragedy, but just bringing our country together.
Real talk on the Mothers Podcast. We got a lot of stuff to get to, man. Orioles, and I'm going to throw you a twist when we get to the Orioles and the Ravens, and we'll see how quickly you can adapt.
Okay.
And we'll move on. Exciting times, man. This is what you play football for all season long, is to get into the playoffs. Ravens, as we sit here today, have already taken care of the Pittsburgh Steelers, beat them handily at M&T Bank Stadium, and now they're on the road, Highmark Stadium, coming up on Sunday, 6:30, against the Buffalo Bills, a team they beat 35-10 earlier in the season. What are your thoughts as we sit here today, days away from the game?
Well, recapping the last game, it was our last Purple Patio, so that was emotional time for me.
Oh, God.
And but it was, it was a great crowd, great turnout. We had a lot of fun. A lot of, old friends came back. And it was a great game. We kicked their ass. We played some great Ravens football, and we looked really good. So that was just exciting. I had a lot of fun. Shout out to Russ from Swag Dog, who hooked me up
Russ?
with some, Russ. So hooked me up with some tickets. So that was nice.
Swag Dog.
Yeah.
Is that a ticketing?
Merch. They do merch.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And we've been working with him for a long time. And so it was a great day, and had a lot of fun, and got that win, which we needed and Lamar needed. And now we're moving on to Buffalo. We beat them. We smacked them down earlier. I think it's going to be a close game.
They're a different team now, Dave, than they were in week 4 or 2. Or
it was early. So are
we,
we, though.
Early.
So are we. That was
true.
Williams was starting at safety. Eddie Jackson was starting at safety.
Trent Simpson was
at linebacker. So we made a bunch of changes. Thing is, they aren't built for the run game. I guess they were running they're running like a 4-3, and they don't have big bodies on the line.
They do not.
And so I think that's where, we're going to take advantage. I mean, we ran that jumbo package all day last week, and I think we'll run it again. And I think we'll control the ball and win the game with our running game.
Man, you sound optimistic. Aren't you nervous about how optimistic you sound?
I was nervous last week against the Steelers. I think because of just because they play us tough, they know us well, and if we would have lost to them, that would have just hurt. At least now we've got a win under our belts. We're playing as good as we've ever played. I don't think our offense has ever been as strong as it is.
Right.
We don't have a lot of injuries other than Zay. That's a big loss. But I think that our defense is gelling, and I mean, no one can stop Henry. I mean, King Henry, he's unstoppable.
Did you hear what Jerry Coleman asked in the press conference?
No, but I'm dying to hear.
He wanted to know what Harbaugh thought about the Bills, and Harbaugh pressed him, and he said, well, what do you think? And Coleman said, I think they're a bunch of losers. And it went to Buffalo, and now he's dealing with all these people that are talking about him calling them losers. It's a mess.
Was that this year?
This was 2 days ago.
Okay, because when he used to do a little pre-Purple Patio stuff, and a couple years ago when we were playing them in the playoffs, he had said something about Buffalo, and the Bills Mafia wanted to come after him.
Well, the Bills Mafia helped his mom out. She had cancer. They donated money, but he kept a list of everybody that gave money. And you know how it is. Everybody's at the game, the Cal Ripken 21-31 game.
Yeah.
But it only holds so many people. So many people told him they gave money to his mom, but he kept a record.
Yeah.
So strange. We talked about it today, but interesting. The Bills Mafia, how they're serious, they boost people up.
They're serious, but then they'll donate to causes and just do great things. So I mean, it's not they won't be coming down here since it's a away game for us. But he gets himself in trouble sometimes, I think.
I got a 2-prong question for you, and the first prong is who are the 4 Ravens on the Mount Rushmore for the totality of the team? We're talking back to 1995, 96 till now. Your 4 Mount Rushmore players.
Well, top 4 Ravens of all time. Ray Lewis, obviously, is probably number 1.
Easy, number 1.
That's an easy one.
There's an easy number 2.
Easy number 2 is probably Ed Reed.
There's easy number 2. There's a sort of easier number 3.
Probably easy number 3 would be Jonathan Ogden.
There's 3 right there. You get one more, Dave.
4 is the tough one. 4 is a tough one. We got, there's obviously Lamar's gonna be on there when he wins this Super Bowl. Believe that. Mm-hmm. And Marshall Yonda, is up there for a Hall of Fame. Suggs, who was in town, and Flacco. And I guess you got to give it to Flacco at this point since he's won a Super Bowl. And
are you kidding me? You're going to put Flacco in front of Suggs?
I think I will, because he's won us a Super Bowl. He was the MVP of that Super Bowl run, and until Lamar wins the Super Bowl, I think Lamar will replace him.
Incredible. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, J.O., T. Suggs. That there's my 4. Yeah. Let's go deeper. What's your next 4? If there was another Mount Rushmore right on the other side of it, who are your next 4 Ravens on there right now?
Next 4 would be Suggs, Yonda, Lamar. And then the 4th there might be
Could you
Nada.
Put a kicker? You couldn't put it.
Maybe Tucker. Nada, Tucker.
Jamal Lewis.
Maybe didn't have enough years. Boulware. It's been a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
A lot of good ones. I guess if I had to pick one.
Interesting.
If I had to pick one,
I like going deeper though. So you're putting Nada on there.
Yeah, I think Nada. We've had some good players over the years for sure.
No question about it. My 4th, if I got another 4, it's going to be Lamar. It's going to be Yonda, because I've already got Suggs on that first one. And then after that, that's when it gets a little sketchy. I guess Joe Flacco, and then either Haloti Nada or, oh boy, you could put Todd Heap. You could put Mark Andrews. I'm going to put Mark Andrews.
He's having a great year.
Yeah.
He's having a great year.
And he leads the franchise in touchdowns.
Yeah. And
it's a good conversation you should have.
Yes, it is. It is. And we've had some good players, and DeCosta's built a great team.
Yeah.
I mean, and we got a lot of good young players. You know, Hamilton looks like he's going to be a stud for a long time. Zay Flowers, you know, we got a lot of good young talent. Linderbaum. So things are looking good for the future of the Ravens.
It really is. And as we sit here today, the Ravens are 1-point favorites to beat the Buffalo Bills, and the Bills haven't lost at home all season. It's so
Crazy.
strange. Yeah.
Crazy.
The way things kind of happen, and the Ravens could go up there as 1-point favorites and smoke the Bills. I mean, they beat them 35-10 at home. So you'd say, okay, they're not going to be at home, so they're not going to beat them 35-10. So maybe that is 24-17. I don't know, but I see a Ravens victory.
It's going to be real cold. They said it's going to be about 9 degrees.
You're not going?
I'm not going because we got the closing party this weekend. But I did make my flight reservations for the Super Bowl in New Orleans, though, knock on wood.
Yeah.
Just to get that locked in. But it's going to be 9 degrees up there. It's not going to be really great conditions to pass. I think that helps us more. And I think, we're just going to run the ball. I mean, I think you can't stop Lamar and Henry when he's doing that RPO and you don't know who's going to get the ball. You pick one or the other, and the other guy goes for 20 yards. I think that's just an unstoppable offense, and I'm feeling really confident.
I was lucky enough to be in Canton for the inductions for Ray Lewis and Ed Reed into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You probably were there.
I went to Ray's.
Okay. Your thoughts on Marshall Yanda and Terrell Suggs, their first year of eligibility? They're both up for the trip to Canton. Rod Woodson, who's got a bust and a gold jacket, says he thinks Marshall Yanda has a better chance to go in on the first ballot.
Really?
To me, I think it's the other way around. Yeah. Your thoughts on both of those guys and their chances at immortality?
Well, Suggs played a sexier position, got more of the headlines,
That's
the sacks.
what Pitta said.
But, Yanda was a pivotal part of our Super Bowl team and, just was a cornerstone of the offense. I love Yanda. I love them both. I feel like Suggs will probably get in first. Yanda, I mean, how many guards are really in? And, it might take a couple years for him to get in. And Steve Smith said he's up for a finalist as well. So he's gotten passed over a couple times, but he's up there.
Anquan Bolden, I mean, there's a lot of guys that wore the colors that are up for it. Yeah. Here's a couple of guys that homegrown,
And I keep going back to Art Modell. I think he should be in. I think it's a travesty he's not.
Well, did that guy die yet in Cleveland? No? There's like one or two guys holding him out.
Sports writer? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Looking forward to see if either, both, who gets in, and to go to Kent. Do you wear your Ravens colors when you're in other cities?
Yeah.
And how does that go?
Well, it didn't go so well in Oakland for that AFC Championship,
right?
But most of the times they're pretty cool. I mean, we had that that issue with the Eagles fan this past weekend. That was obnoxious.
It reminded me of the Ravens fan who that was right outside your place.
Yeah,
Callis was his name, and he packs a punch.
Yeah,
you can't be doing that to people. You trying to go viral? You want to go to jail?
Yeah. Well, he's still in jail. I mean, that was another, he obviously got violent and beat a couple people up.
Yeah.
The guy, the Eagles fan, just saying rude stuff to a female. I mean, it's just, there's no room for that, no need for that.
In this day and age, there's phones everywhere. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
He lost his job and lost his tickets.
Yeah. Yeah. Deservedly so.
Deservedly so. Hey, we've got Orioles to talk about, and also just natural disasters. It's not just the wildfires. You look at Asheville, North Carolina. Yeah. That was one of those places that you thought was safe to go to. Anyway, we got a lot more to talk to. It's a Mother's Podcast. It's Dave Rather, Kirk McEwen, and you. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Appreciate you. Oriole baseball. It's you and your number one beneath the lights or in the sun, having fun together. What do you know about? Do you remember that one?
I don't remember that at all.
That's going back a ways.
What is that?
So March 27th, Orioles and Toronto opening day in Toronto. 71 days away.
Wow.
Are you ready?
I'm getting ready. I started looking on their website for tickets today, but they haven't released opening day tickets yet. So, yeah, I'm starting to think about Orioles a little bit, even though we're getting to the end of Ravens season.
Gunnar Henderson's like my new favorite player, bro. I love the way he plays the game. He's got skills, man. He jumps in the air and throws that ball. Reminds me of Mark Belanger back in the day.
Yeah.
And the stick.
Super
really
talented.
Yeah.
Super talented. Hopefully we can sign him long term. He's got Scott Boras as an agent, so he's probably going to go to free agency and test the market.
I didn't know Boras was his agent.
Yeah, that hurts. I just hope we don't lose him to
the Yankees. They're almost like the Yankees farm club.
Yeah. So that's going to be sad to lose him, but you never know. Maybe they can pay him the money and keep him here. We got a lot of young kids and a strong nucleus. We don't have that number one ace that we'd like to have, but it seems like we have a lot of number 2s, 3s. So we have maybe more quantity rather than quality as far as starting pitching.
I was looking at the rotation today, and you tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, Zach Eflin, Grayson Rodriguez, Charlie Morton, Sagano, and
Bradish, hopefully.
Yeah, and Kramer is in there as well. Bradish is still getting it together from rehab. Does that do it for you?
It doesn't get me super excited, but I think it could, get us to the playoffs. We've got and if people take steps, if Rodriguez takes a step up, and he's been injured, if he stays healthy the whole year, takes a step up, we could have 2 number 2s. I mean, Bradish was on the verge of a Cy Young and thrown around in those conversations. So we have some good potential. We have a lot of arms, and I wish we had an ace, but I think we're going to have to do with what we have.
Still time to get a trade going and maybe get another stick. What is your thoughts on Tyler O'Neill, outfielder from Boston? He's muscled up. He's spending some time in the weight room.
Yeah, it seems like a decent signing. I mean, I kind of would rather have Santander, but decent signing. They made some good signings, just not long term, more stopgaps.
Yeah.
Again, we've got some good young guys coming up from the minors, and Cowser's starting to hit the ball. So I think we got some potential. I'm thinking maybe 89 wins.
I said 90 on the air earlier today. I think they've got the lineup to do somewhere around 85 to 90 wins. I'm always optimistic.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on some of the things that they're planning on doing, like, moving that wall in a little bit? They put it back too far.
Yeah, it's a little weird, they're thinking there. I mean, I guess we lost as many home runs as the other teams. So I think they're worried about maybe signing, free agent hitters now rather than the pitchers. So, if that's what we need to do to get better players, then I'm all for it.
Yeah.
And I really like the fact that they're getting a new video screen and new PA system. I think we really needed a new PA system.
Well, could you tell? I mean, you could tell that the PA system stuff
for like the playoff games. Couldn't hear the announcers a lot. If it's a full crowd and a noisy crowd, you can't. With the PA, you couldn't hear everything all the time.
Is it still the best ballpark in baseball, or has that faded with all these other ballparks? I've heard San Francisco has a nice experience, but I've not been to a Giants game.
I haven't been there. They're right on the water. That looks nice. I'd like to go to that. I went to San Diego this summer. That was pretty cool. Right downtown, like Camden Yards. I mean, nothing's like Camden Yards. I mean, it was a pioneer stadium. I love, even if we had a horrible team, I love just going to that stadium. So, I think we're up there in the top 5 stadiums in the country, and it's just so unique and different, even though it's a little older, not as brand new as the newer stadiums. It's just got so much character. That's what I love about it.
Well, David Rubenstein has his own bobblehead. I mean, I don't know much about him. It's a short sample size, but I like everything he's done so far. He's not so overbearing like a Jerry Jones, where as soon as the game's over, that's the first voice you hear. You don't hear much from him, but then you see him spraying people in the stands.
Yeah.
He's got a TV show. I mean, he's on Bloomberg,
Yeah.
which I'm not. That's not something I'm watching much. I'm more sports and music oriented. But what are your thoughts on his level of involvement? And do you like it? Do you not like it? Are you okay with it?
I love his attitude and his vibe. And he doesn't have a huge ego, even though he's a billionaire. He cares about Baltimore. He cares about winning. And it looks like he wants to have fun and have people be entertained when they come out to the park. So that's all great. I think he's got a breath of fresh air. He's obviously built a strong ownership team, and they're very wealthy. So I feel like we can spend more money. I think the stat was we went from the 31st top payroll to 17th. So that's a big jump in a year. So, so I like all that. He's still dealing with a small market team, so we don't have the revenue to compete with the Yankees in Boston. But I like his vibe. I like what he's bringing to the team. And I like, I feel like the future's bright with him.
Go back in the history of you watching the Orioles and give me maybe an underappreciated, unsung guy who's not Cal Ripken or Eddie Murray, but somebody that you thought, that's a good ball player, like that guy.
Gary Renicky was
Gary Renicky, man.
He was awesome. Lowenstein was awesome.
Let it be Lowenstein.
And
you're going deep.
I'm
going
deep.
Way
I'm
back.
going deep. Yeah. Rick Dempsey, Baltimore legend.
All right, keep it within the last 20 years.
Okay. Adam Jones.
God.
Maybe not under. I'm
gonna say Nick Markakis.
Nick Markakis was great. Who's Gosman? Was great.
Kevin Gosman.
Yeah, he was awesome. Chris Hoyles.
I was just thinking Chris Hoyles.
He was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's those guys that are the glue and the fabric of the team. You can't have all superstars.
True.
It's like a Ramon Arias. Every now and then, that guy gets up and smacks a single or a double when you really need it. Is he somebody that's at the top of your thoughts? No, but that's a guy that makes the wheels spin.
Team. That's what team's all about. Not everyone's going to be superstars, and they all it's a long season, man. Those guys got to be exhausted. I think the last 3 months they don't get a day off. In the entire month.
Yeah.
So they all got to be the vibe in the clubhouse has got to be really strong for them to stay motivated and together to fight through that long season. So I think having those guys like McCann who got hit in the face and came back out and stayed in the game. When the rest of the guys on the team see that, they want to jump through a brick wall for him. So I think guys like that are unsung, that are the tough guys and the team players, really make the team what it is.
Who do you hate more, the Yankees or the Red Sox?
I'd probably say the Yankees. They just
Not me.
The Red Sox for you.
It's the Red Sox for me. Their fans. They come over and they take over the stadium still.
Yeah.
The Yankees I'm used to.
Yeah.
They just spend so much money. They're trying to buy the World Series this year.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get Soto back, so that helps.
Yeah.
But you got 27 already. Give it a break.
Yeah, it's a little obnoxious. The landscape is a little unfair, I think, in baseball. They don't have salary caps, and the Yankees can spend 3 times as much as the Orioles. So it doesn't make it for a great, level playing field. So I think something needs to be changed in that sport to kind of level it out a little bit more, so Yankees can't have a payroll that's 3 times higher than the small market teams.
Yeah. Babe Ruth from Baltimore. I mean, doesn't even – I don't even know if that matters. Does it matter, Babe Ruth from Baltimore? He's a Yankee, right?
he is a Yankee, but it matters to me. You know, I have a lot of pride in the fact that, you know, he was born in Baltimore, and I think he used to live in Camden Yards, inside Camden Yards, and still have his house over there, you know, near Pickles. And, you know, watching the movie when he, you know, was playing in Baltimore at St. Mary's and, you know, grew up here, I just, you know, it makes me proud, you know, to have somebody like that, or have somebody like Michael Phelps, or, you know, that, you know, the people, you know, and, you know, is an icon.
Man, I watched those Ken Burns documentaries. Have you seen the baseball when it goes? It's like there's 8 installments or whatever. And Babe, I take it back. I love the fact that Babe's from Baltimore. I just wish he had the
Played
Baltimore Orioles roots, but the Orioles weren't even around at that point. So, well, here we come up on another season, and I love what Mike Elias is doing. Hopefully,
he's a great GM.
Yeah,
you know, he's really made some good strides. You know, we just signed a new crop of international players today.
I saw that,
and it seems like they're really starting to grow, some of these young kids, and it seems like that's really going to help our team in the future.
Let's go O's. Let's go O's. Mr.
Let's
Splash.
Go O's.
Right, Mr. Splash? All right. Hey, more to come. The Mother's Podcast rolling on. I appreciate you. Well, Dave, I'm not even sure what to say about the devastation we've seen in California. I've never seen fires that have just indiscriminately wiped out working people's homes, rich people's homes. It's just crazy what we've seen. And not just that, but we'll talk about the fires, but just natural disasters. I mean,
global warming, I guess, you know, it seems like they're more prevalent now than they ever have been. You know, also it's sad that the insurance industry dropped you know, a lot of those people in Southern California, like a week or a month before, dropped their fire insurance, so they had it and then they lost it.
How can you do that?
I don't know. I guess they're going to try to put a bill in to restrict that, but that's really going to hurt.
It's hard to get flood insurance in areas where there's big floods.
Yeah.
So, do you have any ties to California?
Not really. No, I haven't spent much time there. You know, I really love San Diego. I've visited there a couple times. I've been to L.A., but, you know, it's on the other side of the country. I'm always going south to the islands rather than the West Coast. But it's cool. I love San Diego, and, you know, I wish the best for them. And it's just a real sad situation. And hopefully, I mean, the fires are still burning. And it's still so windy.
Like 17% contained.
Jeez.
There's a long way to go before people... And you know what? People will rebuild. It's like Oklahoma. You know the tornadoes are going to come. They're looking for you.
Yeah.
But if you live there, that's all you know.
Yeah.
What's the scariest natural disaster to you? I mean, because there's a lot to choose from.
There's a lot to choose from. I mean, I lived in Minnesota, and we had tornadoes.
In Minnesota?
In Minnesota, yeah, because the flatlands. And so we'd hide under our bed and, you know, be real scared about that.
I need more than that. I need more than a bed to hide. I need to go down underground like they do in Tornado Alley.
Yeah, tornadoes are scary, real scary.
Is that the one for you?
I think that's the one for me. You know, that's probably the worst. But those flash floods in Asheville were just crazy, and they came so quickly. There's nothing you can do about it.
Were you here at Trifecta Food Truck and Music Festival it might have been the first year when Ellicott City, I mean, this storm rolled through. I think they had the water taxis out, and one of those flipped over in the harbor. Yeah. And then you had a woman holding on to the light pole in Ellicott City so she wouldn't get swept away. It was crazy.
That was crazy.
That was national, if not international news.
Yeah. That was, I think it was the second trifecta. And, you know, I remember because it rained off and on that day, and we were able to keep going. We would stop for an hour and, you know, get under tents and then go, you know, start again. But I was driving home from the trifecta on 695, and I was going through one of those overpasses, like on Liberty Road or something, and the 695 had flooded, and there was about 4 feet of water. and cars were breaking down on 695, getting stuck in this water, and I serpentined. The water was up to my hood, so I serpentined through the cars that had broken down. I was able to get through it.
Serpentine?
Well, there was
snaked your way.
I snaked my way because there was one on the left side that was broken down, one on the right side, and and the water was coming down. The rain was coming down so fast you couldn't even see. So that was real scary. I made it through, and obviously Ellicott City got crushed that day. And I think it happened twice. It happened another time. But have they solved that? Because it seems
they were
like
working on it. You almost want to bring the Army Corps of Engineers in to fix that. But they've got that water that runs underneath, and when the rains come, it swells, and then it's all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, that hit home. That's so close to home, and that was scary. And I guess it's global warming now, and just the dryness of Southern California.
So you're one that believes in global warming. This isn't just cyclical. Hey, it happens every year. What do you want?
Well, I think the hurricanes now are so much stronger.
Oh my God!
Like they're setting records.
Yeah,
and the water temperature is warmer now than it's ever been. So there's something to be said about it. The scientists say global warming is a real thing. It seems like it is.
Yeah, glaciers seem to be melting.
Yeah.
Wow. You mentioned North Carolina earlier. What do you know about mudslides?
Well, yeah, it was mudslides. It was these flash floods that were just taking houses and cars. Just people were on top of their house and getting taken down the river, and houses were completely destroyed.
And that's an area of the country that you would think would be almost immune to some of these things.
Yeah.
They do studies on where can you go in the United States and be away from tornadoes and maybe not in the brunt or the path of hurricanes. And North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina, pretty safe place until recently.
Yeah.
When these things start happening. I'll tell you what scares me is the tsunami.
Yeah.
And you don't see them here, but the one that happened about 10 years ago, where the water just goes that way, and you see fish flopping around, and the birds and animals are like, "Let's get out of here!"
Yeah,
and
scary. And I watched a movie on that and like a documentary. I mean, just the water's so strong and powerful.
Yeah,
Mother Nature, can't mess with her.
Yeah,
when she wants to, wipe the slate clean, she does it.
Yes. And volcanoes, you can run from the volcano. It's not going to get you right away. If you're like, you can, unless you're crazy, you cannot be in the path.
You know it's coming.
Yeah, you know that's going to happen. Yeah. But again, that's something
the flash flood. It happened in minutes. You couldn't prepare. That was just sad. I think, and it seems like they still need a lot of support there. That now it's gotten cold, and a lot of people don't have electricity or housing.
Yeah. How are you with snow? We had a little snow around here.
We did pretty good. I've got a long driveway, so I got to have mine plowed.
Yeah.
And we were able to get that done. And
life is good when you got that long driveway. Yeah. How do you feel about Baltimoreans putting the chairs out, maybe with a broom or whatever? You've cleaned off an area. This is your parking spot. And then you go to work, somebody comes and parks in your spot. Yeah. I mean, I think that warrants some summer chairs and maybe a broom that you don't use that often.
I think it does too. You spend all that time, especially when we had those blizzards and those, couple feet of snow, it would take you hours to clean it out. So if it's in front of your house and you cleaned it out, you should be able to reserve it. But I don't know what the technical rule is for that, and if people move your chairs, but it's I think it's justified.
Do you remember February 2010? It was blizzard, and then like 3 or 4 days, a blizzard again up here. That was the whitest Black History Month we ever had. That was crazy. That
was
year.
Fun. That was fun. We were open at Mother's, and that's when we would have these snow parties, and DJ Kopech would come down with his PA system and just set up inside Mother's, and people wouldn't leave for like 10 hours. They're eating lunch there, dinner there, and those are some of the funnest days.
How about DJ Kopech blew it up during the pandemic?
Yeah.
Went worldwide. He was doing these parties, virtual parties.
Millions, 3 million views in a week or something like that.
How surreal was COVID? you look back and you're wearing masks, you're washing your hands a bunch of times a day, and you're not seeing it socially distancing 6 feet.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? We've made it through, and we've effed our kids totally up.
Yeah, it's like a bad dream. You think back, did that really happen? And it's hard to like it's like a time warp. There's a time warp, like everything that happened before COVID or after COVID, it all gets mixed together, and the timing is messed up.
Did you think you were going to die? Did you ever?
I didn't think I was going to die. I thought I was going to have to file bankruptcy because I wasn't going to be able to. I wasn't going to be able to open my restaurants, so that was a little scary.
Oh my God, Dave!
That was a scary time, but I got to tell you, we closed our restaurants for 6 weeks, and I didn't have anything to do, and we just hung at the house and played Nerf battles with my kids, and I really had a great time, and just got to relax and spend time with the family, and I would have stayed closed longer if they hadn't come out with the PPP and forced us to get open again. But we were closed for 6 weeks, and I say even though it was a stressful time, it was one of the most relaxing and fun times I had.
Did you get money to distribute to, like, some people got money and did the wrong things with it and got in trouble? Bands and things. I think Shinedown got a bunch of money to give to the people that worked for them, and kind of held.
They didn't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we got supported by the federal government. It was kind of unbelievable, the kind of support they gave us. Luckily, we were able to stay open because we were already doing delivery, and we're a fast casual concept and quick food, so it made it good for carry out. And so we were doing a lot of business, plus we got supported by the Fed. So, that worked out. But it was just a crazy time, and trying to run the 3 restaurants with skeleton crews, because we lost a lot of our people, and the rules changed every day. So once we got open, it was a real hectic time, wearing the mask, changing the rules every day, and just the staff would call out every day because they got sick or COVID, and their mom got COVID, and we're just being able to stay afloat and keep the business going. And we were lucky enough to make it through. But
We made it,
but it was hard.
Well, listen, people, the COVID, that's over. It's
over.
in the rearview mirror. Go out to Mother's North, go out to Mother's Peninsula, and get you something. Sit down and embrace your friends and family. Get something to eat. It's a place you can feel at home. Thanks for keeping these other 2 going, man.
My pleasure.
And I know there's more to come.
There's more to come.
Yeah, and there's more to come on the Mother's podcast.
Good talking to you.
Yeah, always.
Thank you, Kirk.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, man.